Brainmuffin at the movies. Hi, and welcome back to Late TV. I'm Brainmuffin, and this is your host, Brainmuffin at the Movies. So I've had a bunch of fans of both WCBS on Facebook as well as YouTube ask me, how was Strip Club Massacre? So I thought I'd do a quick, horrible video. I know I'm going to drag out my camera. It's over there on the shelf somewhere or in the bag. I had to drag out a tripod. So I'm just using my iMac. Light down here is not that great. So anyway, hold on a second. That's sort of better. Now half my face is really overly bright. But anyway, so let's start with the premise of the movie itself. I look like my head's crooked. I'm not used to seeing myself, so if I start staring at my screen, please forgive me. I have to be talking just straight out to you guys. I'll just look out into space here. So it's not a high budget movie, right? It's a low budget movie. There's where the camera is. May I look at that? It's going to be fun editing this, and my wife's going to be. So, it's a low budget film. It's kind of a community effort type things. Although they did have some actresses and actors who have some IMDb credits. And so, there was, I don't know how they group sourced it or whatever. They had some backers, they had some ideas, and so there we go. So I have seen some low-budget movies that Hollywood has done, the Up All Night, USA type stuff and crap like that. So I've seen some horrible movies. One thing I noticed about a lot of those is they had bad writing and they had horrible overacting. This movie really had some pretty good writing. Not a whole lot of overacting. It did have some underacting. I think people could have acted a little bit cleaner. And so let's get all the negatives out of the way. The sound was a little sharp. Maybe in the theater, may have been up too much. Obviously, the special effects, they're not really great. They're kind of homemade. Some of them were pretty good. Some of them seem a little funny. The audience laughed at some things I don't know if it was supposed to be. There were several scenes that had some suspense and they had the type of drama you would expect from a horror movie. But overall, I don't think it wasn't that scary. There were some of the dialogue could have been a little tighter. There could have been a little bit of cleaner editing of some scenes. But overall, I thought it was a good movie. Now, what made this movie really worth my trip down to Atlanta was not just meeting WCBS, was not just hooking up with some old high school classmates of mine who now live in Atlanta. And then it was the audience experience. So the audience is composed of cast members, friends of cast members, backers of the movie, the editors. Nick was sitting to my left for a while. Well, as soon as it started, then he left. Of course, as soon as it's done, he's down, he's asking questions, and we're watching through the credits. He's telling us who things are. And then we went to dinner with a couple cast members and their respective significant others. And it was man, I really look like I'm crooked, don't I? It was a very different movie experience than I've ever had in my life. So it was really good. I'm glad I went. It is a long drive down there from Cincinnati down to Atlanta and back. I went down Friday, came back Sunday. The guys from WCBS that came, so we had Jeff, we had Dan, and we had Phil. They all came down Saturday and went back Sunday. Now, they left a little bit later than I did. They probably slept in a little bit more. But I was in a hotel, needed to get out of there before I got charged extra. So they all stayed with Nick, I believe. And Nick's apartment is in one of the locations of the thing. The movie was not what I expected from the trailer. I kind of expected something a little bit different, I guess. But it was better than my expectations. Jeff said best at dinner. He said it was better than episode 7. Nick has that on video. I don't know if he's posted it or not. I know some people are going to say, well, that's not really saying much. My episode 7 was horrible. But I think it was better than any low-budget movie I've seen Hollywood ever produce. I think I think if it was given a bigger budget, I wouldn't say let's let Hollywood make it its own thing. A remake would be very interesting, but I think it'd have to be done with some of the same cast and writers, maybe a better screenwriter or editor, I guess I should say. Some of the scenes, the dialogue really kind of wore on. It was a little bit repetitive, a little verbose. But overall, I thought it was a pretty good movie. What I don't know is how well it'll translate into video. So the DVDs will be available soon from what I understand. And because so much of the experience of the movie was in the theater itself. This was a nice old style theater with the stage and everything, and they show a lot of independent films here. It's my understanding of the Plaza Theater. It's pretty nice. It's it's an older, but it's like the kind of theaters I went to as a kid. It's not your Cineplex nowadays where it's just a screen and a bunch of seats and speakers. I mean, this had a balcony. I think it had a overhang for the. It wasn't a balcony, I guess. I guess maybe it was at one time. But anyway, because the projection was underneath it, so I don't think that wasn't when the projection was. But that was a great experience. You could buy booze at a bar out in the lobby and drink or whatever. You could probably bring your own stuff in as long as you weren't bringing massive coolers. Or you just bring a coat and one checked. It was a really interesting place. I think the perfect setting for this movie. And overall, I think the actors were pretty good. The two female leads, the blonde wasn't so bad, but the lead character, I didn't like her as a person from the start. Not the character. I think the character. She didn't show much emotion. The character itself, as we learn later, she's pretty damaged. Her psyche, her subconscious, and she never really. I don't feel she portrayed that very well. And being a fitness person, I'm looking at her. She's thin. She had nice. Her upper lats here were really nice. That's about the only thing I can say nice about her. I actually wanted to bite him. I'd like to see her in a vampire movie. But she was skinny fat. I could tell her diet was probably low-fat foods, soy protein, a lot of smoothies and crap like that. And she probably does a lot of cardio. And that's exactly what her body looks like. And she's got a lot more body fat than she lets on. She's a lot softer than she should be. She's got stretch marks on her thighs that were kind of... Anyway, I'm getting really sidetracked. But and her makeup was wrong. She had the wrong color on her cheekbones. But stereotypical of that type of person, you can't tell them that. They're not going to believe you. So, and then when I understand from the cast and crew afterwards, the two female leads were the two most horrible people to work with. The guy that was, I think his character's name was Bob, if I remember correctly. He did a very good job. He portrayed a lot of emotions, and you could tell he had some really good acting experience and some good direction. But the rest of them, I don't know. Now, of the three evil ones, things that from the evil strippers, I guess we never see them strip. So there's spoiler alert. I'm kind of, I don't know what. I guess I'm a creepy old man because the one I liked the best from the previews ended up she's about 21, 22 years old, so she's like barely older than my daughter, so it kind of freaked me out. But I thought she portrayed well, and a lot of it was just her overall being was a bit more believable. She was supposed to kind of be the young, learning new thing, the one learning stuff, and not really involved with everything like the other two. But again, a lot of these people that were playing different parts were friends and the like of the people doing the movie. So. I mean, imagine you took a camera, and Nick had a Nikon camera. I can't remember if he said a 5100 or 5200. So it's the series of cameras right below mine. And he had the kit lens. So imagine you have that. Maybe you have some boom mics, and you guys go out in the backyard and make a movie. Or you go around everybody's house and make a movie. And that's basically what you had here, except you had what I would consider very good writing. That really helped. I don't know where to look here. Right here, I can't tell. But really helped the movie because I think the premise was pretty original. I was actually expecting some kind of supernatural stuff to kind of happen near the end of the movie, and it didn't. Kind of along the lines of Princess Bride or something like that. And with Hugo Montoya, "You Killed My Father, Prepare to Die," that didn't happen. The transition that they see this character make where she does the massacre, to me, it didn't carry over well. She was just upset, but there should have been a little bit more bloodthirstiness. I think that should have been, hammed up is not the right word. I don't really know what the right word is, but expressed a little bit. But again, like I said, that actress, she had problems expressing the entire movie. So I wouldn't expect for her to suddenly be like this raging lunatic, like she should have been. Because I don't think she can do it. And, I'll let Nick speak to those actresses more. I heard a bunch of stories, and they weren't even, from my understanding, they were the only two that were not at the premiere. So that ought to tell you something. Either they were too stuck up to show up, or they didn't invite him. I don't know, but they weren't there, despite what was tweeted. At least that's my understanding. So, and if they were, I apologize. And I'm going to post this on, obviously we'll put it on YouTube, and I'll do the stuff with Twitter and cross-reference the movie. But I thought the movie was very good. I like the premise. I would actually like to see that a lot of these same people with their same creative juices, but just a little bit more money and better actors, do that. I wouldn't say a remake, but maybe their next movie. I don't know. But I think the core of that group has some really good creative ideas. They just need a little bit better backing, and just there's an interjection of skills in a few places. I think with not the movie editing, but the script editing a little bit, and the pacing. The last time they capture one of their victim, Nick did a really good job with this interspersing, cut to black and cut to like someone, like their trunk opens and cut to black, and you're dragging them through the grass and and that built up a lot of tension. And unfortunately, when we got to the payoff, my opinion, the actress, Skinny Bimbo, she dropped it. He had this great build up, and then her acting was just, and it should have been a lot more. So, and overall, I think it was a good movie. Maybe I'll buy the DVD, maybe not. I'm not sure. I probably will. I'll explain it to my wife or something. But overall, I thought it was good, and I would definitely. It's one of these things you could probably see again. But it's not. It's like a group. I think especially if you're drinking. I mean, it was entertaining, and I'm not a big horror fan. Jeff had even asked me before we started, and I was trying to remember the last horror movie I actually saw in the theaters, and I think it was My Bloody Valentine, which is kind of this horror comedy. I've seen a couple other ones about some island resorts or something. There was Penelope in one of them. I Know What You Did Last Summer, but I didn't see those in theater. I just saw that on DVD. I don't do public crowds very well, and so I don't like going to when there's a full theater. So the size of this crowd and the energy of the crowd for me as an INTJ was perfect. It was exactly what I needed, the kind of setting. And like I said, I went to dinner with Nick and Jeff and Dan and Phil, and I think at least 2 cast members. There may have been a third, and I don't remember any of their names. I was drinking too much. I don't want to. The lady was sitting next to my right. I don't remember what her name was. Diane. Started with a D, I think. All I remember is that her fiance didn't like chicken fingers he ordered. I had a chicken sandwich. It was huge. It was fried chicken, or grilled chicken with bacon and avocado. Oh, it was really good. And anyway, and then they dropped me off at my hotel, and I basically made it to my bed and passed out. So anyway, it was a shot of whiskey, Jeff. I know I didn't drink as much beer as you guys did, but the whiskey was something else. I'm glad I didn't do the Jaeger. I was going to take one of the Phil's Jägermeisters, and I'm like, I'm glad I didn't. I really am. So he downed 3 Jägermeisters like bam, bam, bam. I was like, holy crap, that's amazing. And didn't pass out on the table. And then he drove. So anyway, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for coming. I'll get this edited out, obviously as soon as possible, because people keep asking me about it. We'll put on Facebook, we'll put on YouTube, and who knows, maybe we'll chat about it all together. I don't know. All of us, the experience, what it was like going, and so forth. But I do look forward to Nick's next movie. I'd like to. There is that lens, Nick. I'm going to send you some info. I think that same lens that I have, you will really like. Save up your shekels. It's like $1,700, but the VR version of that lens is almost $3,000. So I don't know if you need that one, but it'll give you more flexibility. That was one of the things too. Is while I was watching it, many of the scenes, because Nick and I had exchanged so much information about the technical aspects of the movie itself, and I want my screen to fade. And so there were times I knew how difficult it was to get what he got based off of his equipment. And there's probably no one else in the theater that could appreciate that, unless maybe there's some other videographers in there. But I know what he used. I know the limitations of what he used. I know the limitations of the sensor, the camera, the setup, the software, all that stuff. And so some of the stuff, yeah, it could have been better, but man, he was really, really pushing what that stuff could do, that equipment can do, and he got a lot out of it. I think he got far more out of his 5000 series Nikon than I've ever gotten out of my D7000. So I got to step my game up a lot, and I have my hats off to you and nod in appreciation. I can't wait to see what you guys do next. All right, I'm really going to end it this time. So thanks for stopping by, and thanks for sharing, and we'll see you next time. Bye.